Ashley is one of the corporate folks at Coldwell Banker and Anywhere Brands. Who's a Anywhere brand out here? We got any Coldwell Banker, any old Realogy folks?
Awesome.
Century 21 guys. Hopefully our audience will continue to fill in, but I told Ashley when she would be in a friendly audience, because 50% agents, and of that percentage of good folks are in one form associated either with Coldwell Banker or maybe one of the other brands with Anywhere, formerly Realogy, for those of you that still struggle with the Anywhere. So what's going on? I told Ashley we'd kind of use this slide, if I can get it to advance. Boy, hey, I really need some help with the clicker, guys. Not that slide. Oh, I guess this slide disappeared. Oh, we went all the way back. Okay, I'm going to get my slide back up. So while I'm queuing this up, hey, Drake, or somebody on the side, get me back to Ashley's slide that has the PowerPoint where she needs to be. Thank you. So what's going on? What are you guys doing? Let me set the stage with this.
Yeah.
Transactions down
Absolutely.
significantly. Okay, so let's not sugarcoat this nonsense.
Yeah.
Transactions down, prices down. How are you at the Coldwell Banker corporate side preparing for 2023 when it comes to that?
You know, I think it's really interesting to watch. I think we all know that our business, once our transactional count really starts to decline, but what we're seeing in the marketplace is our price points didn't. Yep. Price points sort of remained, and in most areas kept increasing just because of our low inventory demand. So for us, it really put us towards the end of the year at about a 30% decline in volume, which is fairly
and that's
significant.
A national number,
and that is a national number. Yeah, we know all markets are local and things like that, but for a brand, we were 30% down coming out of 2022. So as we kind of progressed into 23, one of the key indicators that we watch on a regular basis is written business. Of course, that is your written business that ultimately you hope closes in that 30, 60, 90-day period. So we saw coming into December 2022 and January, well, before that, significant decline in written business.
In written business, just so we're talking apples and apples, new open escrows, buyers and sellers coming together. If you watch my stuff, we refer to those as pendings.
Great,
so
thank you. Pendings, I think I call them under contracts, all of those different things. So massive decline coming into the Q4 of 2022. But then we saw quite a slight bit of bright spot. December and January, our written business increased significantly and outpaced close, which is what you want in your marketplace. You always want your writtens to be outpacing your closed volume. But then in February, it declined back again.
And that was interest rate driven?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Right.
A lot of this is interest rate driven. Most of it is, working with buyer fatigue. Also, your sellers are really not listing because they're in a home with a very low interest rate, so they're deciding to stay. So that's impacting inventory as well. So I think what we are going to see in 2023 is it is not going to be an easy year. We are projecting to be down probably anywhere from another 10 to 20%, which is significant, and it is going to be a very staggered year. Right. We're going to have some ups, but then we're probably going to have some downs. We're not going to see any sort of V-shaped recovery, we feel.
From a transaction standpoint.
From a transaction standpoint.
You know, I always say, if you guys have followed my stuff or you're an agent in one of my offices, haven't said this in a while, but we're so dependent, whether the market's good, bad, or whatever it happens to be, that's fine, but what are prices? We can kind of gauge what sort of compensation we're going to make based upon our marketplace and prices. And then of course, well, if prices are down, let's make it up in volume. Let's sell more property. So we're constantly focused not just on price, but we're focused on volume or transactions. So approximately 30% nationally, that's pretty much what I track. I'm going to share some numbers with you guys here later on in the presentation. Depending upon what community you're in, it's either a 20% reduction in volume, unit sales year over year, or if you're in Orange County, in some markets in Orange County, it's 45, 50% fewer unit sales, higher prices. We can talk about that. So what's Coldwell Banker going to do about that?
What are we going to do about that?
Yes.
Well, I think what we really focus on is, we have one of the most tremendous agent bases in the country. We are one of the #1 brands out there. And I think we are really focused on not only capturing listings, so lead generation to capture listings, but we also are really positioning our agents as the trusted advisors. I mean, you guys, for those of you that are real estate professionals in the audience, you are the trusted advisor for your customer. You have to be the one to really help your customer through this landscape. You've got to set seller expectations. We're now getting back to pricing homes correctly. who would have thought a year ago that now we're really focused on pricing? You also may need to market the home a little bit different. We're getting back into open houses. We're getting back into potentially staging, potentially doing different types of renovations or things to get the market or get the property ready for market. So I think it's really important that you're really capturing your lead generation activities. You're really working with your sphere of influence and truly being that trusted advisor, helping that customer, whether it's a buyer, whether it's a seller, through this kind of tumultuous up and down market.
You know, there was, and my agents sometimes look at me like I'm crazy. Sometimes my management team does, and I'm going to do it again. I put a quote on one of our sales meetings from Gary Keller at Keller Williams a while ago. You know, why would you do that, Lance? I said, well, I did that because I agreed with what he said. They had their family reunion a minute ago, and he basically, I'm paraphrasing, but the gist of it was, this is time to triple down on your business plan, or you're going to get eaten alive. That's not, he didn't say anything like that at all. But my interpretation of that was, you know, this is an adjustment for us if we're in the industry, whether you're in the mortgage. We've got mortgage folks here. We've got title folks here. Obviously, we have a lot of realtors here. If you're scared and you're nervous by this, which, by the way, you probably should be, but for me, that's a good thing. Because when I get scared and I get nervous, it just hyper-focuses me on making sure that we're doing what we need to do to capture that market share. So has anywhere brands on the economy side, do you have any thoughts on where interest rates are going? I know the world has changed in the last 48 hours.
The world keeps changing every morning.
So yeah, and even today, I mean, I've been disconnected in the last 4 hours. This would have been one of those mornings where I would have just been plugged into CNBC and Bloomberg and trying to figure out what the hell is going on out there. But how important do you feel what the Fed's doing and the interest rate environment is to where we're at? So let me give you a couple, three choices and comment, if you will. I actually have done no preparation for this. So if we continue to have what we have, which is somewhat uncertainty, consumer seems a little freaked out. Maybe with what's going on today, Chairman Powell will come out and kind of pause, and maybe we'll get a little stability. Buyers will maybe feel a little more confident. Does anybody at the brand kind of, are you setting your business plan based upon certain things happening? In other words, stable rates, higher rates, lower rates, or are you just day-to-day seat your pants?
I think what we are kind of overarching looking at is that interest rates, they're going to go up and down, but they're going to probably stay a little high right now. We don't see those coming down too much to where it's really going to spark this overarching recovery right now. So we are doing our plan based on that. We know that it's going to slow down buyers, it's going to slow down sellers, and that's kind of where we're planning.
Right. I don't have one slide, I don't think, that references Barry Habib with MBS Highway, but I'm addicted to this gentleman. For those of you in the loan side, you know that. I believe he's still forecasting lower interest rates. Ashley had mentioned tracking those written contracts, and they have been down, 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 down. And you can almost track it to where the rates were, the uncertainty with the rates. And then when we started, because we saw the exact same thing, identical in the Inland Empire, Western Gabriel Valley, which is where my world, compared to what you mentioned nationally. And we saw a trend down from April to May, all the way through to, let's just call it December. Yep. And then we started to see a little bit of activity. And we started to see that because I think there was not certainty, but a little bit of confidence. Okay, maybe we've seen the worst of it. Rates were at 7.
I think everybody thought we were at the bottom, or hoped. Let's say the word hoped we were at the bottom.
And then they kind of re-engaged. Yeah. And we had a fairly decent January, and February started off good, and then we started to go back up there. So you're not necessarily, and again, I mentioned Barry, and if there's somebody who's followed Barry in the last 10 minutes, he's been talking end of the year interest rates sub 6, maybe in the mid 5s, which would make me ecstatic. I think we could do just fine with an interest rate environment, even in the low 6s, because we kind of did.
We did.
But I do think 7% interest rates break this market. So I guess I'm not looking for confirmation of that, but so you're thinking they're going to trend upward, continue to trend upward? Is that kind of where your thought is?
Potentially, yes, but I'm with you. They're going to stay in that 6 to 7 range. That's my projection, but could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to bounce around, and especially as we continue, even in what we're watching today with banks, with the Fed. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty.
There's nothing happening today, actually.
No, absolutely
nothing to see what's going on.
Nothing.
Well, I personally think there's a big difference between an interest rate in the low 6s and 7s.
And 7, yeah.
I just think it's dramatic, psychological.
Absolutely.
Not that our consumer can't adjust to a 7. I think the challenge for us in our industry is how long will it take a consumer to adjust to whatever that rate is? And I think we answered that question. We went from 3s to 4s to 5s to 6s, and the consumer said, too much, too fast, and they checked out.
They did.
For a good part of last year. And then when they re-engaged, frankly, they re-engaged with interest rates that were generally above 6.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, but it took them 6 or 7 months to do it. So if we keep fooling around here with this uncertainty, which I really think is the key, I think it could be challenging.
It will be. It
for
will
the rest of
definitely
this
be
year. So I guess we'll see. So we have about 3 more minutes. So what's going on at Coldwell Banker? You know, we just kind of sort of renewed our franchise. So Coldwell Banker folks, go
Which
blue.
we appreciate.
So anything special going on that you want to bring in the last couple 3 minutes to the crew? And
No, I mean, we're always kicking off each year. We kick off each year with our, our national media campaign. For those of you who are in the marketplaces, you'll probably see we are very much focused on the sort of dreaming about your home and home ownership. That is where we focus. COVID really allowed us to sort of expand reach. All of us, we could dream of where we wanted to live. We weren't necessarily tied to a certain location because of remote work. So it's really kind of changed the landscape and sort of expanded the way that buyers could potentially look for property, which I think is really unique now. And it sort of opens the door for a lot of different opportunities. So you're going to see the brand really focused on that. I think the biggest thing you're going to see from the brand this year is, for our consumers, also for our agents for lead generation, we do focus our tools on those moves, those sort of dream moves. Like if I lived here and I wanted to go here, what would it cost me? What is my cost of living? What is housing like? What is the demographics? What is, all of those different data points to really let a consumer understand what it would be to really move and dream and live where you want to live and live the lifestyle you want to live. So that's the focus for us.
Well, and I wanted to give Ashley at least a 60-second kind of commercial, but it segues into what I said earlier, and I'm going to continue to say, and I've got a presentation of my own that I'm going to do here after the main speakers are done. And I will tell you, I always get worried when we do events like this because you'll play it back or you'll say something or someone out in the lobby will say, oh, you said that. And you're like, well, is that what I said? Or yeah, I said those words, but you're putting a different interpretation on what I meant.
Right.
That happens with my wife a lot. So at any rate, so when our focus, or one of my focuses anyways, is to give you guys the tools to adjust your business plan to make sure that you can crush it in this market. So if you have some concerns and some anxiety about where we're going and some of the stuff that you may see, I'm telling you, you got to focus. You got to get out there, and whether it's Coldwell Banker on some of the stuff that we're offering, or whatever brand you happen to be with, or whether you're on the mortgage side, or whether you're on the title side, we're all looking for market share. I think I saw Chris Sorensen somewhere over here, and he had made some comment about, hey, we got to focus on. He's a sales guy. We're sales guys. So anyway, capturing market share and addressing this, because if we are looking at an additional loss in transaction volume, we all need to be prepared to adjust for that and what that means. So a lot of uncertainty, but it's 9:45. Our time is up.
Thank you. It was
Ashley
wonderful.
is going to come back up on the panel, and our panel is going to go fairly long. So we'll have much more of opportunity for her to give us her insight on what's happening. So
Wonderful.
Ashley,
Thanks.
thank you for coming out. I would hug you, but last time I did that, I messed up our thing. So.